Okay, so we'll start off with our warm-up, which is 15 minutes long. Then we'll go into our workout, which is 15 minutes. We have 1 minute for each movement. You can move as long as you can. If you need to rest, go ahead and take a quick break. And then we'll finish off with our cool down, which is another 15 minutes. Now with our warm-up, starting off with the squat, inchworm all the way out. You'll then take your right foot to your right hand, rotate right arm into the air, rotating your T-spine, and then switch to the left side. Do the same thing on the left hand, left foot to left hand, then rotate in the air, and then you'll repeat. Now we really want to make sure we're focused on getting loose. Take your time during each movement. Really make sure you're locking out your body. Squeeze your glutes once you lift your leg forward, and don't just rotate arm in the air. Really think about rotating from the hip, keeping both hips facing the ground at all times. Don't let your legs turn. Now keep in mind, I teach in 3 different ways. I'll tell you what you're doing, I'll show you what to do, and then on that third step, it's your time to go ahead and move. So once you feel like you got it, go ahead and move. This warm-up will be about 15 minutes. It is your job to make sure you get your body loose. Do not get lost in just watching me. Remember, I'm doing the example of the workout that you need for your body and your program.
Farmers, we know how nice it is to save on your auto policy, but it's even nicer knowing that if this happened, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. We're going to quote it.
TV legs.
There's no power like bringing someone to life. Oh, there's no wonder why I feel like I can fly. You make me better than I've ever been. Higher off the ground, and yeah, I'm sure to make a few mistakes, but I won't let you down. I've got this heart of steel for you. That's what you do. You give me hands of stone, and they can hold anything you're going through. Oh no, it's not too far, not too rough.
Now we tap into the next part of our warm-up. First part, we'll be working on a lunge and then rotate at the bottom. So you'll lunge, left leg is forward, lunging all the way down, and at the bottom I want to rotate right elbow and or right hand all the way over to my right outside, left outside foot, sorry. Now what you want to make sure you're doing is really loosening up that outside left hip. You really want to work on the oblique area, so that hip pocket on the outside, that's where you really want to rotate from. So the work that you did in your warm-up before this, the movement that we did before this when we went into T-spine, that should help you in this movement when it comes to rotation. Now, if you feel like you're losing your balance during your lunge your knee all the way down to the ground. Place your inside hand, so your right hand to the ground, and then rotate and reach in the air. So look at it, we're right back into our T-spine rotation. All movements go together. I try to build from one movement to the next, so that way your body understands the movement flow. And then we'll rotate to the opposite leg.
We've seen and covered it. We're going to quote it.
What you may feel when you rotate to the opposite side is one leg may feel better than the other. You may feel like you have more balance on the other. So right now I have my strong leg forward, right leg forward, left leg is behind me, and my left side can rotate a little bit better than my right side. So that means my right glute is a little tight. Next part of the warm-up, we want to face the camera. Legs will be outside of shoulder width, and then we'll work on sitting into our left hip. So you want to sit all the way back. The objective is to get your butt as close as you can to your heels without leaning too far forward. If you notice there is a slight lean, remember we are working on the hips and the glutes. So if you feel like you're doing the movement improperly or it's a little bit too hard, if there's any tightness, it'll show up in your movement, and that's the purpose of the warm-up, to get ourselves loose so we don't injure ourselves during our strength portion when we're trying to add strength to these areas. Final part of the warm-up, we'll be taking our left leg and rotating our torso, so stepping behind us, sitting down into our single leg squat, and then stepping back forward. So working on a different plane of motion, rotating, squatting, then coming back. Now remember, in this side lunge, you still want to work on not going too far forward. Now we get into our body of work. We have 1 minute per movement for each movement, starting off with high knees. Going as quick as you can, trying to lift your knees all the way up, get them as high as you can. The first couple probably will be a little stiff. That's okay. Get your legs up, try to tap the ground, one leg after another. Don't really worry about if you can keep up or not. It's all about you going your pace. Remember, I'm just demonstrating. You do what you can during this time frame. If you feel like you need to slow down, go ahead, take a second and pick it right back up and jump right back in. I also give an example where you can still keep your feet moving and or go into lifting your legs. Still keeping everything together, still keeping in motion. Clock is still running, you're still going, you're still being active. If you feel like you can pick it back up, go ahead and do it. The objective is to stay moving. Second movement, we go into squat jumps. Now with this one, no different than our high knees, this will get your heart rate up. You want to work on squatting, getting as low as you can, get the first one out of the way, and then go ahead, find your rhythm. Once you find your balance, go down. You should easily come up and down. Once you jump up, you should be able to come right back down. If you cannot keep up with the pace or you feel like you need to slow down, it's too much on the knees, squat down and come up on your heels. Squat down and come up on your heels. Here is another variation. You can still swing and use your momentum to act as if you're about to take off, even though you didn't lift off the ground. Number 3, we go into a stationary squat, elbows to knees. Remember, the goal is always to get your butt to your heels. If you cannot, it is okay. You work through your tightness within your hips and your glutes and get as low as you can. Find your rhythm and keep it. You should be able to go down, then right back up, down, then right back up. So inhale, then exhale. Inhale, then exhale. Keep in mind, you can pause at any time that you want to. So if you feel like you need to take a second, go ahead and pause and then jump right back into your workout. Number 4, we go into a curtsy lunge. We'll be taking our opposite leg, so our right leg, and then shooting it behind our left leg. Go ahead, get your first one out of the way so you can find your balance, and then go ahead, get into the movement. Really cross your leg over, bending and dropping that left glute all the way down. Tap and then come right back up. Tap and then come right back up. Keep in mind, we're only spending 1 minute on each movement, so 30 seconds on each leg, and then you go ahead and switch. Right leg forward, take your left and cross it right behind. Remember to tap and come right back up. Movement number 5, we'll be in a high plank. So push-up position, we'll spend 30 seconds on each leg. So you'll do a glute kickback. Try to keep your leg as straight as possible. Your main focus is to not round your lower back. There will be some rocking a little bit. Make sure you keep focus on your midsection to stop that rocking. And if your shoulders hurt, that means we need to work on the core a tad bit more. So do not rock too far backwards. So you want to make sure you keep everything in the center. Number 6 will be on the ground, working on mountain climber. So from the same position, holding yourself up, we'll take one knee at a time, bringing it all the way up to our hands or as close as we can, really tightening the midsection. Try to lock yourself out and stabilize. If you cannot hold the push-up position, go down to your knees. Really try to keep your glutes tucked in. It may be a little difficult to do that, but really focus on pulling your midsection in. So kind of similar to cat-cow. Number 7, we flip over, we lay on our backs, and we'll go into bicycle crunches. So you'll take one arm, place it behind the back of your head, and you'll do opposite elbow to opposite knee, really meeting in the middle. Do your best to not pull on the back of your head. Lead with the elbow. The hand is only placed behind the back of the head gently. So on your fingertips, the real focus is to pull elbow to knee and meet in the midsection. Really squeeze your core. At 30 seconds, you'll switch sides. Next movement, still on our back, working on reverse crunches. You want to make sure you squeeze your glutes, pulling your belly button up to your chest, really keeping focus on the lower abdomen, and you'll squeeze both legs or inner thighs together. keeping your tailbone down to the ground, pulling your knees into your chest, or the best you can with keeping your tailbone flat to the ground, really keeping focus on that lower abdomen area and keeping your inner thighs squeezed. Number 9, we'll stay on our backs and we'll go into a baby crunch. So focusing on squeezing your inner thighs together, reaching your hands all the way down towards your heels, looking up into your belly button. Do your best to not only lift your head, but lift from your midsection. So think about top abdomen when you lift up and really reaching, trying to touch your feet. Try to get your hands as far past your lower half as you can and meet in the middle. If you feel this in your neck, that means you're only lifting neck. This is a core exercise to really focus on lifting a little bit higher. Now we go ahead and switch to our next movement, number 10. We're going to a hand release push-up. Working from the kneeling and or standard push-up position. Working all the way down to the ground, releasing your hands, and then pushing yourself right back up. If you get confused with releasing your hands at the bottom, I would suggest as you touch your stomach down to the ground, slide your hands across your floor and then bring them back into where you were once you push yourself up. And number 11, we go into reverse flies. So laying down on your stomach, you'll have arms all the way out in a T shape, so arms straight out, thumbs in the air, and you'll work on lifting and squeezing your shoulder blades right behind the back of your neck. As you lift up and your chest comes up in the air and you try to reverse both arms behind you, squeeze your glutes and your legs can come off the ground. So your entire back half is working. So you're similar to a starfish. And number 12, we go into shoulder taps. So from the push-up position, you'll be working on stabilizing your midsection. So separate your feet a little bit wider outside of where your hands are to really help you hold yourself up. And that way you do not rock your hips. If you cannot tap your shoulder, one hand to the other is also acceptable. So the objective is to tap opposite hand to opposite shoulder or opposite hand to opposite hand without rocking your hips. Movement number 13, we go to a high plank. So from a high plank push-up position, we then will take 30 seconds and only extend one foot out after another. So we'll tap, do a lateral step out to the side, starting off with our right leg, tapping all the way out, still keeping control of the glutes, making sure we do not rock our lower back, and we continue to push our upper back up in the air, making sure we meet in the midsection. Remember, you can take time to rest if you need to, but you only have 30 seconds on each leg, and then we'll go ahead and switch to the opposite side. And number 15, our last movement, we go into a normal plank, holding this for 1 minute. If you should maintain as much as you can. So if you need to drop, go ahead and drop. We have 1 minute on the clock for you to hold it out, whether on your knees and or in the standard plank position. But remember, your hands should not be together. So both arms should be separated away from you, pushing your upper back up in the air, controlling everything from your midsection and squeezing your glutes, pressing everything into the ground. Now we go into our cool down. Our cool down will be 15 minutes long, starting off with a side bend reach. So the objective is to drop your left arm down, keep your right bicep by your ear, leaning all the way over as far as you can. I like to keep my hand alongside of my leg to try to reach down below my knee, and I continue to push my opposite hip out as I lean all the way over. We'll spend 30 seconds on each leg and or go for a 10 count. Next movement, we'll get down on the ground. We'll go into our 90-90 position or our pigeon stretch. You'll have right leg forward and then your left leg will be behind you. The objective is to make sure you fight your heels down to the ground. You want to have your legs straight, your posture straight up, and pull yourself right over your shin. So right in between your knee and your ankle. Pull yourself forward. We'll go for a 10 count. If you can't hold your knee to the ground, grab a yoga block. That also helps out. And you'll press your knee down to the ground and then continue the motion. Remember, we're spending 30 seconds on each leg, and then we'll rotate to the next movement. Next movement, we go into downward dog. So from the push-up position, you'll make sure you push everything back. So you'll sit back onto your heels. I suggest getting your feet outside of shoulder width so you can rock back a little bit easier. Remember, we're going for 1 minute, so take your time. If you need to rest in between the movement, go ahead, take a second, then jump right back up. So the objective is to push all your weight from your hands and shift it all the way back over to your heels, dropping your chest in between your hands. So once you feel yourself getting loose, go ahead and rock yourself back. Your entire back should be straight. And then you rock yourself right back into your push-up position, squeezing your glutes. From downward dog, we go into our next movement, which is runner's lunge. So we'll have our left leg forward, right leg behind us. The objective is to keep your right leg as straight as possible. So lock it out by the knee, squeezing the glute, and then you'll work on starting off at the ground, tap your knee, and then lift straight up in the air while maintaining your balance. Tap the ground, tap your knee, and then reach straight up in the air. Really get a nice, good reach. You may not go as fast as I'm going, but that's okay. Keep your pace. Balance, stabilize, and reach. Remember, we're only spending 30 seconds on each leg, so go ahead and rotate to the opposite side, and then you'll do the same. After our runner's lunge, we lay down on the ground on our backs and we lift our legs up and we go into our happy baby pose. So pulling down on your legs, trying to get your knees past your chest, pulling all the way down to the ground and then reaching right back up to relax and then reset again. So I like to pull on my toes and or the outside of my foot to really get a nice good pull, stretching out my lower back and my hips, pulling my knees outside of my chest, right all the way down to the ground as close as I can, and then I reach back up in the air to reset.
Sound of J.D. Lace.
And then we finish off by rolling over on our hands and knees down on all fours, and we finish off with cat-cow. So tucking your tailbone all the way in, chin all the way into your chest, and then you release everything. You're trying to get the back of your head to touch your tailbone. Now it's all on your mobility of your spine, on how well you'll be able to really get like a cat and then extend. After we finish with this minute, we'll go ahead and stand back up and start back over from the top and do it all over again. Starting off with the side reach or side bend. What's going on, everybody? I don't think y'all ready for this one. I'm here with my new show called Philosophy. That's philosophy with an E, not a Y. This is where I take the time to break down different topics with my own opinion, ranging from health and fitness all the way over to the stock market. I feel like you can educate yourself on anything you put your mind to. This show is for the person that just wants to listen in. This show is also for the person that likes a good argument. It's all your philosophy.